What is going on, people? In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the major hair loss treatments, what actually works, what doesn't work, what is a waste of time, what is a scam, what isn't a waste of time, can you save your clapped, balding, receding hairline, what can you do, and effectively I've ranked things from like this super sick tier list that I'm going to go through. My name is Mo Samuels. I've been suffering from hair loss since I was 18 years old. Insert picture here. And over the last 10 years, I've cultivated some beautiful locks. Admittedly, I have had a hair transplant as well, but even then I managed to make some really good progress. I do believe I'd be completely bald if I didn't have do what I've done. So effectively, what I'm going to do is take you through all the treatments, everything that I've learned over the last 10 years, the trial, the error, like kind of don't make the same mistakes that I've done, don't fall for the same scams that I have, don't waste your money. And also this video is not sponsored by anyone at all. So I just wanted to keep it like unbiased and actually give you a list in case you're like worried about something like that. So starting off, we got number one, and this is the first thing that I took for hair loss and the most common thing to take, and that's like these hair loss supplements or biotin. So biotin is going to be the main ingredient in all of these hair loss supplements, and the idea is that biotin is found in your hair, found in your nails. By supplementing it, by taking it, by having more of this thing that actually goes into making your hair is going to grow better, it's going to be better, it's going to be thicker. Unfortunately for me and for you, that is completely incorrect, and I fell for this trap as well because it's like the most common thing. You can buy it in supermarkets, your mum can get it for you, can literally get biotin supplements everywhere. But unless you are in some third world malnourished country where you're literally starving to death, in which case I think taking a biotin supplement in your hair is going to be the last of your issues, there is no point in taking the supplement, because unless you're chronically deficient in biotin, you don't need to supplement it. You might be thinking, Mo, well, surely more of this thing is going to be better. Well, biotin is water soluble. So that basically means that even if you have enough in your body already, you're just going to pee it out. It's not fat soluble. It's not going to get stored. It's not going to build up in your system. So biotin straight to the F tier. Don't even bother with it. Okay, so scalp massage, blood flow devices. You might see these bands that I've been emailed by various brands trying to get me to promote these things that go around your head. It massages your scalp. It increases blood flow. Also, the idea of like doing handstands or just anything that's increasing blood flow, like any exercises, anything like that. Basically, it's a brutal oversimplification that more blood flow to the scalp is going to ultimately mean that your hair's not going to... I think people like to be able to understand things or very easily visualize things. And if I say to you that hair loss is caused from a lack of blood to the scalp because your blood supply isn't so good, ultimately it's much more complex. The main takeaway is that increasing blood flow to your scalp isn't going to do anything. It's not the way to do it. It's not how it works. It's not how hair loss works. It's much more complicated than that, bro. Straight to F, straight to F. Obviously, I feel like you put it in E because it doesn't cost you anything if you're doing a handstand, but equally it's going to be pointless. Before we go on, right, I've got to give you a little bit of a basis, like a basic understanding in terms of hair loss and how it works. So DHT, dihydrotestosterone, is the root cause of hair loss in men suffering from male pattern baldness. So what happens is you get testosterone, right? And testosterone is converted into DHT. So DHT comes from testosterone. Obviously, testosterone is really important for being a man, so you need testosterone. DHT isn't quite as important. And then it's this enzyme called 5-alpha reductase, which actually catalyzes the reaction or allows testosterone to be converted into DHT. So if we can reduce DHT through, let's say, like drugs, medicines, etc., then you can reduce scalp DHT, which is going to reduce the thing that's attacking your hair follicles ultimately. So this brings you on to the next one, which is something called saw palmetto. And you might have seen this like all over TikTok. It's a favorite of people that have these like natural herbal hair loss remedies and all these other things with like no side effects, and they're really, really good. I think rosemary oil is meant to be a similar thing as well. And these are meant to be DHT blockers or natural DHT blockers. So the idea behind this is it kind of stops that enzyme from working as well, which in turn reduces the amount of DHT that's getting to your scalp. So there is a large study that actually looked at this. So it looked at the effects of saw palmetto on DHT. There's found to be no benefits in the people using saw palmetto versus the people that were using a placebo. So taking like a sugar pill or ultimately taking nothing at all. There was no benefits whatsoever. Saw palmetto straight to E. Like I probably wouldn't bother buying it. I haven't taken it. I'm not going to take it. It's just not enough evidence behind it. And even anecdotally as well, it's just going to be, even if it does mildly affect DHT, it's going to be too mild to really do anything. Next up is my absolute favorite thing that I take every single day, I drink every single day, and that is caffeine, right? So caffeine is a hair growth stimulant. So you've got these two groups of things. You've got hair growth stimulants, and then you've got things that actually block or reduce the amount of DHT DHT that is getting to your scalp. And really what you want to do is take two of these things that are going to kind of cover both of your bases. DHT is like the root cause of the issue. And then if you can take something to actually help the hair grow as well, that's really, really good. So I'm not talking about pouring a can of Monster into your head, but the idea behind caffeine is if you get it in shampoos and serums, it's meant to be a hair growth stimulant that helps your hair grow. There is a study on caffeine here that basically compared minoxidil, which is a really proven hair growth stimulant, and caffeine. And the study concluded that a caffeine-based topical solution should be considered as not inferior to minoxidil. So it's basically saying that caffeine is as good as minoxidil. And you might be thinking, well, like, this is really, really good. I'm going to start using caffeine because obviously it's like the studies say that it's really, really good. But in reality, this is the problem with the hair loss industry and why it's so scammy and misleading. Just because a study is a study, it doesn't mean that it's good. And these companies rely on people that don't have a background in science, that maybe don't know how to interpret scientific data to give you like scientific studies say this and this and the 71% increase in this and this and this, when in reality, the scientific study is trash. It's probably funded by a company that has like interests in showing this is a good thing. And it doesn't mean that it's good. Ketoconazole shampoo up next. This is an antifungal shampoo and you want 2% ketoconazole solution. There's not heaps and heaps of research on it. It's originally designed as an antifungal, like I said, but it's meant to be a mild DHT blocker. And there's been some good anecdotal results online. It's not something that's got any real side effects associated with it beyond, let's say, some like dry hair, which I've noticed first. Obviously, any medication has side effects, but there's nothing major associated with it. Downsides are going to be, obviously, you're only putting it on your hair when you're in the shower, so you leave it on for 5 minutes. It's probably not going to get that well absorbed. For something like minoxidil, for example, it needs to be left on for 4 hours. But ketoconazole shampoo, C tier, yeah, I'll probably take it if you wanted to add something else into your stack, use it every couple of days, but it's not going to be like the be all or end all. PRP and PRF, I've done this many times myself. Platelet-rich plasma and platelet-rich fibrin. I've probably had about 10 sessions in total, and I didn't actually notice that much from it. And what this is where they draw your own blood, they put your blood in a centrifuge, and then they separate out the components of your blood, and they inject it back into your head. And the idea behind this is you're getting loads of wound healing factors, growth factors, and other things, and then this in turn is going to make your hair grow. There is solid theoretical science behind it. It is tried and tested in other things, but there isn't heaps and heaps of evidence like long term looking at hair growth and what it can do. So that means I'm going to put it in the D tier just because it's very expensive. It's pretty side effect free beyond getting an injection in the scalp. Like, it's not going to do anything. You're taking something from your own body at the end of the day. But from my personal experience, I didn't really get anything from it from 10 sessions. Other thing is as well is you need at least 3 sessions for it to work to get kind of any benefit from it. And then it's probably not going to be something that you can just stop taking and get those benefits from it. So a lot of these treatments, a lot of these things you need to take continuously. So are you willing to spend $500 continuously for the duration of your existence on this thing in order to keep hair there? Now we get onto the big daddy, big boys, and this is minoxidil. Okay, so minoxidil is going straight up to the B ranking at the very top. Minoxidil is the best growth stimulant for hair that is known. It is originally designed as a blood pressure medication, but for reasons that are unknown, it helps increase the growing phase of the hair, basically makes your hair grow thicker. It decreases the amount of time that it lies dormant. You can use it once or twice a day. I use it twice a day in a 5% solution. I put it straight onto my scalp. I don't bother with the oral minoxidil. I personally don't like taking that. I wouldn't recommend anyone take that, but topical minoxidil in a liquid form, just like generic, I put it on straight onto my scalp. Don't get the foam, like don't bother with foam. I use a pipette to put that on, and this has pretty much no side effects. I say pretty much no side effects. I'm just some guy on YouTube. All medication has side effects, but it doesn't interact with any hormones, nothing like that at all. The only side effects that you might get if you're really sensitive to it is, let's say, lightheaded, or if you take it orally in a big enough dose, like swallow a pill, then you could get fluid retention around your heart and die. But taking it topically is probably going to be completely fine. Actually putting it in a scalp. Don't spray it onto your hair. This is what I used to do as well, and so many people do. I do not get why companies sell spray bottles of this in, because you don't want to get it on your hair. You want to get it to the hair follicle on the skin. So what I do is I actually buy a glass pipette, and then I pipette it directly onto my scalp twice a day. And then if you want to increase the uptake with that as well, you can employ something called microneedling. Microneedling once a week. So it just basically makes loads and loads of little holes into your scalp. Anywhere between 0.5 to 1.5 mil is the recommended. I go to 1 1 millimeter on my scalp around once a week. And when combined with minoxidil, it's like better results than both. They have a cumulative thing. So it's like 1 + 1 = 4 rather than 1 + 1 = 2. Like you get a really, really good effect from using both. And the reason for that is because when you microneedle, it's meant to increase the permeability of minoxidil because you're making these little channels into the scalp. So more minoxidil is actually going to get into your hair follicle. So microneedling is a pretty good thing to do. Not a lot of side effects. If you do it too deep or too much, you can cause fibrosis. Obviously, infections are a risk as well. So scarring, that's fibrosis. If you do it too much, but it's something that's like relatively risk-free. And the main mechanism is like when combined with minoxidil, that's what's going to cause growth. Just don't go super deep, don't go too deep, be hygienic. And it's probably something that's going to do you a world of good when combined with minoxidil. This is one that isn't as common, and this is going straight to the B category as well. So this is a pretty solid one, and that is tretinoin, right? So tretinoin is used as, it's an anti-aging cream primarily. It's used for acne. It's a retinoid. It's I think it's a vitamin A derivative as well. And basically it's just a cream that you can get to put on your face. Like, well, it's normally you get it prescribed in the UK to put on your face for spots, etc., etc. I use this every single day for acne because it's really, really good at reducing spots, anti-aging. Since I've used it, my skin's been a lot better. Even though I don't really get acne now, I still use it every single day. It's the only skin product that I use every single day. But the reason it's going to be is because, again, when combined with minoxidil, you get really, really good results. A study looked at minoxidil by itself and minoxidil with tretinoin, so a combined treatment. It found that the hair growth from minoxidil twice a day was the same as minoxidil once a day with tretinoin. So minoxidil, you're meant to do 2 daily applications with it. Put it on the morning and the evening. Some people don't like to do that because it can make your hair a little bit greasy, especially if you're using a shitty foam. But I find if I'm pipetting it on straight to the scalp, it doesn't actually go into my hair. I just like massage it into my scalp. But the study found that twice a day was just as effective as once a day with the tretinoin. So the tretinoin is thought to increase the permeability or the uptake of minoxidil and also have a mild effect on actually growing hair as well. Every single evening, what I'll do is I'll just get the cream that I put on my face, I'll do a little pea-size amount into a little tub, and then I'll mix it up in a pipette, and then I'll put the pipette with the minoxidil, so I use the minoxidil to kind of mix up the tretinoin straight onto my scalp every evening just to get more out of the minoxidil. Adding tretinoin is going to be good for people that, let's say, have been using minoxidil for a while, because after time you stop getting the same results from it. Maybe people that, let's say, don't want to put it on twice a day or don't put on minoxidil twice a day because it makes the hair a little bit greasy. These are all good things that you can do to increase the amount of hair growth that you get. This one is the big daddy of the hair loss treatments, and that is finasteride, going straight up to the S super tier. And I know this gets a lot of bad rep, and the reason that I make so much hair loss content and like speak about it like this is because if I started taking this sooner, I wouldn't have needed a hair transplant. And there's a lot of fear mongering, a lot of things online. A lot of people are like, oh no, if you ask someone off the street, they're like, oh no, but side effects. And I was one of these people that was really scared of taking it because of the stuff that I read online. And if I started taking it earlier, I would have been completely fine. Like I wouldn't have needed a hair transplant. This is the most effective thing that you can do for your hair, that you can do to stop your hair receding, that you can actually use to halt hair loss, or one of the most effective things. It's the most tried, tested, effective, the most safety data behind it versus other things. But finasteride is the big one. In terms of side effects, I really wouldn't be worried personally. If you've got a normal, healthy range of testosterone, if you're not overweight, if you're not already super depressed, you're probably going to be fine. There is a thing online called post-finasteride syndrome, but out of a meta-analysis, so a study with 2 million people, right, looking at this, there was no correlation between depression or suicide. 2 million people in this study, so it's absolutely huge, a meta-analysis. As I've got a little bit older, I have so many friends that take finasteride for the hair, and not a single one has ever got a negative side effect from it. And like I said, the best thing is, if you get side effects, which you probably won't, you can just stop taking it, and there's no evidence to say that the side effects will persist. But the main thing to go into it with is like the mindset. Like if you think you will get side effects, you will create side effects for yourself. The way that it works is by blocking the 5-alpha reductase enzyme, so it reduces the amount of DHT that actually gets to the scalp. Obviously, it's the root cause of the issue. So this is why it's number one, because it's the most tried, tested, and it is super, super, super important for actually reducing that DHT, which is going to continue to erode at your hair and clap out your hairline. I started originally just taking minoxidil because I was too scared to take finasteride, and then it was only in the last few years, I think about 2 years ago, I actually jumped on finasteride and realized it's completely fine. I started taking it topically, like dripping it on my head first because I was worried about it, realized nothing happened. Then I started taking half a pill every single day, realized nothing happened. Then I started taking 1 pill every single day, realized nothing happened. I had no side effects and felt absolutely absolutely fine. So this will actually block about 70% of DHT that's actually getting to your scalp. And it will also as well actually raise testosterone by about 10%. So a really good way to think of it is because the testosterone is not getting converted into DHT, which is just trash, because that conversion isn't happening, then your actual natural testosterone is going to decrease by about 10% anyway. So you're getting more testosterone from taking this thing, which is absolutely fantastic. Final one, and that is dutasteride. And this is similar to finasteride in the sense that it works on this 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. But instead of blocking total DHT by about 70%, it actually blocks it by about 90%. So it literally completely nukes the DHT. Anecdotally, some people say like online, like, oh, you could get like more side effects from it per se, or there's a very marginal greater risk of side effects. But the evidence states that it's pretty even in terms of finasteride in terms of side effects. So why wouldn't you just take dutasteride over finasteride if dutasteride blocks more DHT? Well, you probably want a little bit of DHT, like I want a little bit of DHT. If finasteride is working for you fine anyway, like why would you switch to something else? But that being said, like dutasteride, I'm gonna put it in the A tier, just not in the S tier. It makes the A team. Personally, I take finasteride 1 milligram every single day. I microneedle once a week at about 1 millimeter. I put on tretinoin cream mixed in with minoxidil. I do that twice a day for minoxidil 5%. And then every other day when I can be bothered to, I mix in the tretinoin with minoxidil, pipette that onto my scalp, and that is pretty much my full hair loss stack. That is my hair treatment tier list. Drop me a comment down below if I forgot anything. Drop me a comment down below if you think there's anything I didn't mention, anything that you would put in there, anything you do differently. Put on your minoxidil, take your finasteride, microneedle your head, and save those hair follicles, lad. Save those hair follicles, lads, before it's too late.